When I did Psycho 4 with Tony Perkins, it became very clear to me that he harbored some resentment about the Norman Bates character because he was on a course of being, he was a matinee idol. When Hitchcock cast him in the original Psycho, and it changed the course of his career. So I know he had more than mixed feelings about the character of Norman Bates. Christopher Lee often likes to say that he is not a horror actor, that Dracula is just a tiny percentage of the work he's done, and there's some resentment about his being Dracula. Do you have any of those feelings about Freddy?
Well, you know, it's, first of all, Anthony Perkins was out of makeup. He was he was using every inch of his personality and an ounce of his charm to go to that dark place he went in Psycho as Norman Bates. So from then on, not unlike Anthony Hopkins perhaps, from then on, whenever he uses that charm in a straight role, let's call it, for lack of a better word, we all will see
a little Norman shining through.
A little Norman shining through. But whereas with Freddy, I'm under pounds of crap. Now, I have stayed in the genre, and part of that is because it's been very good to me. Part of that is because when I work genre, I'm paid more, period. You know, if I guest star on ER, I don't make as much as if I do a horror movie. What happened to me is I kind of de facto became kind of Vincent Price. Because when I got out of the makeup finally, not only the makeup for Freddy, which was 10 years straight, but also The Mangler, the Stephen King project I did with Tobe Hooper and with Phantom of the Opera and several other projects. By the time I got out of the makeup, I was not a young man anymore. And I had to embrace that, and one of the great places to go is that kind of Vincent Price, you know, the mad scientist, the doctor, the psychiatrist, the bad daddy. I just finished doing a decadent Italian prince, a kind of Klaus Kinski role over in Italy. And, you know, I never thought from my 50s to my 60s that I would be doing those kind of roles. But it's a lot of fun. And you understand one of the reasons I chose to stay within the genre is because I was offered leading roles. And an actor, one way an actor survives is to get film time, even if some of the scripts are a little ridiculous. Because I'd done too many A movies or too many A television shows and done small parts and hit the cutting room floor except for one or two scenes. Because the casts are so big now on television that they're almost contractually obligated to give those stars their screen time. So even if you are the AIDS victim or the leukemia victim or the heroic firefighter on an episode of ER or on some show, and it's a good part, you'll still have scenes that'll hit the cutting room floor. And I learned that lesson playing around a bit and trying to change my image. And I did some Disney movies back then and stuff. And I said, you know, I'm going to kind of return to this. I'm going to grow a beard, or I'm going to let my bald spot show. I'm going to let people know that I wear reading glasses. And I moved into this other realm of things, urban legend and these kind of roles I'm playing now. Sometimes I am the stunt horror casting. Sometimes the whole project is built around me. Sometimes I'm actually the right actor for the role. Sometimes it's a terrific project, like this thing I did a couple of years ago called Behind the Mask. Now I have a small part in that, but I'm very, very proud of that film, and this is sort of my homage to the great Donald Pleasance, which a lot of the fans watching us right now, of course, know him from the Halloween franchise, but who I was, you know, blown away by as a young actor and an Anglophile when I saw the wonderful Polanski film he had done, Cul-de-sac. I mean, Donald Pleasance in that. It's just, I've never seen anything like that when I saw that show. And so I wanted to give a little, you know, tip of the hat.
Well, this is an important point. There really haven't been, quote, horror stars for decades. But in the 30s and 40s, you had Lon Chaney Jr., you had Bela Lugosi, you had Boris Karloff, who I think was the greatest of them all. And in the 50s and 60s, you had Vincent Price. But really, you know, starting in the 70s and onward, there really haven't been any. And you have kind of carried the torch.
I think that's a great thing, and I just love being mentioned, you know, in the same breath as some of these people. You know, my godfather was one of the West Coast salesmen for Simon & Schuster, and had rooms of books, and one of them was Life Goes to the Movies.
Oh, yeah.
Big red book. And I can remember going over there at the age of 8 or 9, and I would first go to the horror section, and there was a great shot of Frankenstein and the Child by the Lake, Karloff, the monster. And there was a great shot from Daughters of Dracula. And then I would backtrack to the 20s, The Silence, and I would see this series of postage stamp photos of The Man of a Thousand Faces, of Lon Chaney, all the different makeups. And that stuck with me, and that's that thing we started this conversation with. Wes Craven telling me to respect the genre and to not be ashamed of it and to approach it artistically and with vigor, way back when I did the first Nightmare movie, reminded me of those moments of my childhood and how much that kind of stuff meant to me and how important those people are. And I think I'm realizing now, in my 60s, that some people can't do that. Not as many people can do that. And so I take it as a certain badge of honor that I am one of the few people doing that.
It's really a character actor with an emphasis on the fear genre. But is there one role that you'd love to do that you've done nothing like?
I'd like to do some down stuff, you know, a little bit of that tender mercies kind of work. I'd like to go back to my kind of rustic roots a little bit, where I can really be different than I am. I can put that on, but it's so comfortable now. I wanted to be on Deadwood so bad.
Oh, yeah.
Because I could do that, because I've done the Shakespearean and I do the white trash. And the guys I started out wanting to be, and I know you didn't ask this question, but this will tell you, this will answer the last question. I wanted to be Strother Martin.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to be Warren Oates. I wanted to be L.Q. Jones. And I figure maybe I can be kind of an old version of those guys in a couple of years, you know, and maybe just, you know, get those nice little featured parts like those guys, because I got that up my sleeve. And I haven't showed anybody that since I was 24. You know, and it looks a lot different coming out of a 64-year-old man. So it got a little more seasoning.
The youngest 64-year-old man I know.
Oh, yes, well.
Well, thanks. This is great.
It's the vitamin E.
It's
Thank
great.
you, Mick.
Robert Englund, Postmortem. Thanks so much.